So, you've decided that you want to take the plunge and buy Rocket League after watching people score insane goals on YouTube, Twitch, or Reddit, in the hope that you'll be able to do the same thing. Or maybe you've watched RLCS, or the recent DreamHack Clan, and decided that you want to learn how to play this game too. Or maybe, just maybe, the latest 2-year Champions Anniversary update caught your eye. The curiosity got the best of you, and you decided to figure out what this game is all about. Unfortunately, depending on what you want from this game, I may or may not have to crush your expectations to some degree. Okay, with that out of the way, today I have something aimed at very new players. Apology to the viewers who are more seasoned, this one simply isn't for you, and it's likely that you won't get anything out of this video. However, for the new players out there, the next 15 or so minutes will be jam-packed with hopefully relevant advice on what you can expect as a new player. Welcome to Rocket League, and I hope that you will enjoy your time that you spend playing. This game has an extreme amount of depth in even the most simple of things, and I'm not going to be able to cover it all within the time frame of this video. But let's begin with important things to know regarding software and game settings. First, check your camera settings. If it's at default, uncheck camera shake and set your FOV to 100 as a minimum starting point. Why? Camera shake will cause your view to shake whenever you boost, jump, drift, hit the ball, or crash into something. Because being able to follow cars and the ball with your eyes is very important in this game, this serves no purpose other than a distraction. Besides this, it's important that you take the time to figure out which kind of camera settings you'll like. With your FOV at 100, compare a small distance such as 220 to a large one such as 290. Try both ends of the spectrum, and out of the two extremes, see which one you like. Once you've chosen out which one of the two you prefer, compare two lesser extremes. For example, if you prefer 290 distance, compare 300 with 250. If you prefer 220, compare 210 and 270. Keep doing this until you close in on the distance that you like the most. I can speak from personal experience. My camera used to be very close to the car with a high stiffness, now my view is very far back and my stiffness is at 0, and I would never go back to any of my old settings. Very briefly, stiffness affects how much the camera will move and sway when your car gains speed or turns. The most important settings to experiment with right now are distance and FOV. Stiffness, height and angle can be changed once you are happy with your distance and FOV. Swivel speed changes how quickly the camera will turn when you are manually turning your camera. It does not change how quickly the camera will turn when the camera is automatically throwing the ball in ball camera mode, as some people may think. The rate at which a camera turns when ball camera is on is fixed. I'll move on from camera settings though, as this also could be a whole video within itself. You could always try out other people's camera settings to find a baseline that you like if all else fails. I'll leave my camera settings in the description. Secondly, square input and dead zone. What is square input? Did you know you could be losing approximately up to 30% of your input on diagonals? This diagram just assumes a perfect circle within a square. Depending on how dodgy your analog joysticks are, it could be even more, or less. It depends. Square input will make your diagonal inputs more responsive, which will make diagonal flicks, aerial control, and half flipping easier to do. You may not know how to do aerials or half flipping now, but it's important to set yourself up for future success. Remember earlier on in the video when I literally crushed your expectations and got rid of the evidence? Well, you're not going to learn how to hit the ball in the air on your first day, week, or even month of playing the game. Half flipping is a relatively simple mechanic, but even this may take time to learn for some people, for muscle memory to develop to the point where you can do it with little to no conscious thought, and at which point you'll be ready to use it in an actual game. Muscle memory in Rocket League is just as important as muscle memory in CSGO or any FPS game, but instead of using it to aim at someone's head much faster, you use it to perform moves in Rocket League quicker and more reliably. How is this relative to square input and dead zone? Players who try square input for the first time after 1000 or even 2000 hours notice the difference immediately. Diagonal inputs are very sensitive and fast, but some people will take a while to get used to it. Setting it up and getting used to it now will be one thing less to worry about down the line. How do you square your input? The easiest method is to use Steam, although I find this to not be as reliable as it has a one-size-fits-all approach to squaring your input, although there is some customizability, and it might also affect or break your control input in other games. Sometimes it doesn't even work. For example, in GTA 5, the right stick and D-pad does not work while using Steam's Xbox, PS4 or generic controller configuration support. Turn this off if you're having problems in other games. Anyways, go to Steam on the top left, Settings, Controller, General Controller Settings, and tick the box for the controller you're currently using. Back out, go to your game library, find Rocket League, right click on it, find controller configuration, click on the left stick settings, select square dead zone shape, and you're done. Dead zone can be set in the game itself, and a smaller dead zone results in more responsive movement. Alternatively, you can square your input with Durazno Squareness, which requires a little bit more work to set up, but has more customizability and won't affect games other than Rocket League. I already have a tutorial video on how to set it up and use it, so I'll move on. I'll leave it in the description and towards the end of the video if you do wish to check it out. How does one actually improve at Rocket League? Reflection is the key to improvement. If you only play the game, you won't get very far. You need to be able to evaluate what you're doing that is effective, as well as identifying things that are holding you back, and dealing with them. Rocket League is a constant learning experience, which means that even if you become good enough to confidently call yourself a decent player, you still will need to keep learning about the game in order to improve, or even just to stay where you currently are compared to the player base. At no point in the near future will we have learned how to do absolutely everything. New discoveries will be made, metas will change, and even if you're soon going to hit the limit of what is possible with the current physics, we don't know what the future holds. And we can always refine existing knowledge even further. What you put into the game is what you will get out. If you have a casual attitude towards the game, you will have casual performance. If you have a serious attitude towards the game, you will have serious performance. However, some people think that are taking the game seriously, but aren't doing everything that they can to try and put themselves in a better situation, where they know more about the game and have refined that knowledge. Avoid learning specific situational skills early on. Generic, transferable skills are much more valuable for beginners looking to get better. Things like teammate awareness, basic shooting skills, backball defense, and positioning. No matter what happens in your matches, you're going to be using these skills all the time, or most of the time. However, skills such as air drags, mind games, and recent ceiling shots trend should take a back seat because people will eventually wise up to them, which will lower the success rate. Air dragging has been around for a very long time, and the success rate for them is very low because people know what to do to counter it now. And if that's your only skill, then you can be shut down pretty easily. Learn specific skills later after you learn the basics, so that you can have a situational skill for every situation, which will make you a more versatile player. Now, in terms of game tactics, what should a new player focus on developing first? I strongly believe teammate and situational awareness is a thing new players should focus on first, and mechanics should come later. Mechanics are useless if you don't have at least basic rotation and situational awareness to back it up. You will catch up with the rest of the player base faster with good awareness over good mechanics, because on the whole, peaceful mechanics are getting better, but situational awareness is improving at a snail's pace in comparison. You can get decently far with good awareness but mediocre mechanics compared to mediocre awareness and good mechanics, and you'll only run into trouble when you start meeting players with good awareness and mechanics, which is when you should shift your focus from awareness to mechanics, as your sense of awareness is more likely to be well developed to a reasonable standard. I can't quote a ranked region that you'll start seeing players with both, as it's quite subjective and it depends on the player. How can you go about improving your awareness? Take in as much information as you can and keep a mental note of things. Just because a teammate is not on your screen does not mean that they don't exist. Take a situation in context wherever possible, and use your camera to look around. Make sure that your button stuck behind you is easy to access, as you should be using that a lot. Use sound to help you figure out where the general location of your teammates and the opposition that you can't see. I find sound is very overlooked in Rocket League, yet it can be very important and beneficial. Wear headphones if you can. Always give your teammates room to finish their current play. Do not take the ball from them, and instead let a teammate with the ball take the lead and be on standby to support them instead of being on standby to tackle them. On the flip side, get it? Flip side tactics? Okay, I'll leave now. On the flip side, if you are the one who's leading an attack, you need to know when to stop, and I think this is actually the biggest problem. People's greed causes players to clash and then they turn around and get mad at each other. Don't do this. Never go for balls that you know are out of your reach, and think about the consequences of your action for teammates. If the ball is out of your reach, just let a teammate take over, and just accept but you can't do anything about it, instead of trying to and making the situation worse. Avoid side challenging the ball and ball chasing unless you know you are the last thing between the ball and your net. If the ball is being pushed up towards your side, towards one of the corners, do the entire world a favour and don't follow the ball into the corner. This is a mistake even champions make. If you're driving in the same direction as the attacker, head towards your goal instead of following them into the corner. If you need to, you can go from your goal onto the backboard and then meet the ball there. The fastest route between any 2 points is a straight line. So if the ball is heading towards your corner and we're all up on the backboard, instead of following the ball's path into the corner and then onto the backboard, go to your goal instead. Let the ball come to you instead of chasing it. The ball is able to travel much faster than the cars can, and boosting after you reach supersonic speed does not grant any additional speed, which is a tip within itself. Think smart, not hard. Finally, to wrap up this video and give a few more miscellaneous tips and tricks, if you're really struggling knowing your lefts from your rights, try equipping an asymmetrical decal on your car, or a flag. Antennae are always mounted on the left hand side of the car. It will flop around when you drive. It can also help you figure out where your car is when the camera is pointing upwards, but I don't advise waiting directly under a ball in game where possible. When the camera is pointing upwards, it has an over the shoulder effect which can be quite disorientating for some. Try and either look past it, or visualize the parts of your car that you can't see, as in filling the blanks, using what you know and can see. If possible, start playing Rocket League with a controller ASAP if you're currently on keyboard. At this early stage, it's easier for you to switch over. Once again, save yourself additional pain in the future by doing it now. Try watching good players on Twitch and make notes on what you see. If you want, you can try replicating any mechanics you see, but your main priority is familiarising yourself with the pace of the game when you're watching other people play. Be a backseat driver and see if you can second guess what they're going to do next and spot any of their mistakes. It's actually one of the best ways to learn the theory in the game. Most of all, the biggest tip I can give is to take it easy and have fun. Games are meant to be fun, and if you're not having fun, you shouldn't continue. There's a lot of things to be learned and it can be easy for new players to become overwhelmed, but take it slow and build yourself up one step at a time. Aim to learn at least one new thing every day that you play the game. It does not have to be something massive. It can be as simple as learning a more efficient way to perform an existing skill you already had, or just improvement of your general understanding of the game. If you do that, I can guarantee that you'll start seeing progress in your play, which will make you pretty happy. That's all for today. I might make a part 2 to this, as there are still other things I believe beginners should know, but that will be for a different day. For now, this is Clear Vision, and I'll see you in the next video.